Alright, so round 3 of the WA XL Cup. We've got Alex Newton driving the Luxe Performance Sedan this weekend. He missed out on the last round at Collie, and he can drop around in the championship, so he's back in to get some points, and hopefully his new car's going to be finished to be back out for the Enduro and that. But no, he did an awesome job in the Sedan. His starts were super good. He's a little bit rusty for a couple of things until he got to the swing of it, but and out of 24 cars, he was in the top 10, really consistent lap times, and just did really well. For one of the few XLs left with a stock beater engine in it, he's punching well above his weight, a lot quicker than many of the ones around him. So no, it's really good. Got a bit of footage from in-car from all 3 races. I've cut some of the boring stuff out from race 1 and 2, where he just couldn't quite catch that front 5 group. And then race 3 we had a bit of rain, which was really awesome. He was able to take full advantage of that and made some pretty good passes and brought it home in 5th for that race. So again, out of 24 cars, to be consistently in the top 10 and then to set a fastest lap for that race, that was pretty cool, pretty special for him. He was pretty pumped on it, as you'll see in some of the in-car footage. So yeah, enjoy. I'll chime in a few places and talk a bit about the sedan and some of the things we've found different about it, but no, really stoked on how it went for the weekend. tail end of race 1, Alex had an awesome battle with Brandon Sharp. Brandon was up his date for most of the race and snuck by him with I think 2 laps to go. There's even some footage of Brandon's giving a bit of a push around turn 1. Brandon's a super consistent racer. He's awesome in a sprint car. He's awesome in a saloon. He's awesome in whatever he drives. His old man puts a lot into the sport, so it's really cool. Look at this. I think Alex gets him on the line for like 0.2 a second. It's yeah, really good to see. Really close racing, and like I said, awesome to be able to race with guys like Brandon and the Sharps in general, because they're just such good drivers. You don't have to worry about them doing anything dumb. Nailed the start in this one again, like absolutely cracking start. I am hopeless at race starts. I just can't get a car off the line to save myself. I either bog it down or get too anxious and blow the wheels off it. Alex just cranks the start and kicks out. It's unreal. Again, just not quite the power of the guys at the front, but he does pretty good. Latches on and keeps on. I think one drops out and then he loses a spot. Still comes home in 8th, where he qualified for the event as well. So no, really good to see. The sedan's turning out to be a really good car. Now we've fixed up a few of the, had a few hodgepodge things with it, as you get with an older race car. So fix a few of those things up. Sort of a couple of little electrical gremlins we'll figure out. Change how the seat was mounted, stuff like that. Put a new exhaust system on it, get a bit more out of it, one of the Psaris's ones. And a new control suspension. And it's a cranking car. And it's not heavy, so sedan, this thing's still got all the factory heater box and everything like that in it, so it's not light. It's got a full national spec cage, so as you can see it's got the roof bars and the Carlos bars in it. So it's got a lot heavier cage than most of the cars that only run the little state level cage. And it's still, with Alex in the car, Alex is 70 kilos, it's 15 kilos overweight with Alex in the car, and it would be 1,000 kilos flat, which is pretty good. It's similar weight to my old red car on the scales, and being a sedan, the thing that's really noticeably different is when you put on the scales, where the weight sits in the car is really different to a coupe, and how even the weight is left to right. So that's the one thing, it's massively different to the coupes. It's quite evenly weighted off the get-go. In a front-wheel drive, you kind of forget, you don't try to go even left to right, front to back, on the angles like you would do with a saloon or a Skyline or something like that. With a front-wheel drive, especially a really light car like an XL, you just want to get it even left to right on the front. And the sedan is even from the get-go almost, and it must be the way it carries the weight in the back of the car to put that weight across the scales like that. That's the only thing. Car lengthwise, and that's 30 mils longer. It's got everything from a coupe bolts into it. So the exhaust from Paul's just straight off the jig for a coupe, and all we had to do was lengthen the mounts, or the little bar type mounts off the muffler, so it sat in the hangers properly. That's the only thing you notice. It's that small a difference. But just having that weight placement, especially when I drive it, I'm a hack in an XL compared to some of these young guys that are that good, and I can still put the car top 10 times. I can still sit within the top 10 in the car. So for someone that isn't as great as an XL as Alex is, he's really smooth. I'm a bit of a hack, a bit heavy on the transitions, a bit heavy on the throttle work, and it's still a quick, well-handling car. I mean, of course, we're putting a lot of work into the setup on it. We're doing a lot of things. I'm scaling it and aligning it every race meeting and just trying to find that last little bit. And I'm really lucky. I've got some really good guys helping me out. So I've got Bryson from Fastlane, who's an absolute champ. He's done heaps on the Skyline. And then Grant from Race Talk. He's another guy who's just been helping me out. I ring him up and I said, what do you think about this? Do that. What do you think about this? Try that. And that happened in the second race. I was watching the car from turn 1 and drifting a lot wider than it normally would. So we've been trying to tell Alex to try and take a tight line, more like what you see the touring cars do, shorten the track up quite a bit. It's a good fight. He's having here with Biddle, which is my old red car in front, which is pretty cool. So fun fact about that red car, Carlos Ambrosio, when he drove it at the Enduro a couple of years ago, set a lap record that lasted for one race, which is kind of cool. Just shows how we've got a pretty good base with these cars now, and that's why the sedans punches pretty well. But yeah, during this race, the bolt on the back left toe arm had come loose basically, and I tightened it up and I'd marked where it was, and it was actually Frankie who picked it up. Frankie's pretty awesome. Frankie, it was his first time pit crewing at a real race meeting. He knows his way around cars. He's a hell of a driver in a drift car, and he's a hell of a fabricator. He's doing a lot of work on the new Skyline, but he picked up, car just didn't look right, and I went in and said, yeah man, the car looks wonky to me. So we checked it out, checked the toe. Yeah, that bolt was loose. It had 18 mil of toe out on the left side. So I grabbed the toe plates out of the shed. We squared the car back up again, and it was out for race 3, which worked out really, really well for him.
race 3 started raining just before the start of the race. I actually rang Frankie up and said, "Are you still on the grid? Can you drop the shocks off it? You know, drop the shocks right back to the side." He's like, "Man, the car's already on track." I missed them completely going out, but the bit of a saving grace for us of the wet. You know, Alex went really well in the wet. His start was mega, picked up a couple of spots straight away, and then just carried on to keep going on with you know, guys coming off and
you know, had a really good fight for 3 or 4 laps with Paul Basaris, his boy Jake in front of us. Here's Callow coming storming up on the outside, takes one mirror off. I think he takes the mirror off Jack at his car as well, which is kind of cool, but you know, just out of nowhere, storming around. Super clean move, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good racing in the wet, and man, brave to go that wide line, and then you know, Alex is flat out in the mirrors the whole time. So whenever you see Alex, call him Mirrors from now on. That's his new nickname, because he just doesn't leave him alone. But now the wet, we had the tyres on the car were pretty much brand new. I'd only done the wet round at Collie with them, so as far as XL tyres go, they're pretty much brand new. Most of the guys now are buffing tyres or using really old rags, because what happens with especially the cheaper tyres, like we run a Control Federal 595 in the XL Cup, which is a really cheap semi-slick, like $111 a tyre or something stupid like that, just so damn cheap. So with the new tyre, the tread block, what they call the blocks, so the tread is a bit taller, and that just moves around under the car so much. So in the dry, they like to run tyres that are nearly gone, because it acts more like a slick, more consistent on the top. Look at the handwork there, that's so good. More like a slick, more consistent, more controllable. So really good. But I don't buff the tyres, I don't do anything like that, just put them on, wear them down, buy new ones. You know, you got to set up the car around to be able to run on a good tyre and a bad tyre. Some guys reckon there's about a second in brand new to worn tyres. I reckon with our car we're finding it's only about half a second. And I think we run the sedan, something I've noticed to the coupes as well, we run the sedan shock setting wise, we run it a lot softer than a coupe, even though it's, you know, there's a bit more weight in the back of the car, we run the car a lot softer. We still try to cantilever all the weight onto the front shock wise, but yeah, we still run the car a lot softer. But yeah, Alex was just cranking in the wet, and I think having those slightly better tyres on the car helped, because it was, you know, proper wet. It wasn't full rivers on the track, it was just wet enough to be annoying and need just that little bit, which is really good. This is a good race to watch. I loved it, and just stoked for Alex doing really well and progressing. Like, the best thing about racing, and anyone who's talked to me knows this is how I feel, it doesn't matter if you win, but as long as you do better than you did last time, it's the best feeling in the world, because you can go a year, 2 years, 3 seasons we haven't done better than you did the last time, where you just struggle to make those PBs, to be same placement in the race. So Alex is getting better every time he drives his car. He's going faster and faster every time he drives it. He's got it into the low 13s now. Man, a couple of years ago that was lap records, so it's really good to see. Alex comfortably cruising around in 5th place now. Can't quite catch that front group, but got a good 4 or 5 car length gap to the cars behind him, so he's sitting pretty well. He had set fastest lap of the race on like lap 2 or 3, and then Brett Sheriff pipped him with halfway through. Then on this lap, Alex pulls the fastest lap of the race again, and then goes on to carry on and get 5th in the race, which is pretty awesome. How's the celebration? Just fantastic, man. Just stoked to see him so pumped, and really enjoying his motorsport. Makes me happy to be able to give back. Cheers, guys. Massive shout out to Damo at DC Autos. I'm so grateful for all the work he does. Dead set, best mechanic I know. Chris and the guys at Shockworks for getting the package on the Skyline sorted. Frankie at Not Scared Fab for all the work, roll cage stuff. Steve at MSC Turbos New Zealand for getting that whole set sorted for the Skyline. The guys at Hyperdrive for keeping all the things ticking along. Shane at Behind the Sport for just keeping things really, really fun. Chris and the Culture 24/7 team just for getting me fit and enjoying life. And of course, Luxe Performance for all your good gear. Thank you to everyone who helps me out.